This is not the frontier. There are people fucking living here. It is not the frontier. It's just a different place than you've been.
Back.
Hello, and welcome to Into the Wormhole with Larissa and Lauren. I'm Larissa Maestro, and sadly, we're missing my number one, Lauren Lowen, this time. And actually, it's not sad that we're missing her because she just had a baby. So she is on maternity leave, which we offer here at Into the Wormhole, although we don't make any money, so we can't really help her out in that way. I'm offering emotional support and Star Trek memes is what I'm offering for maternity leave compensation.
Yes. Well done. I mean,
but
that would make me happy.
But with me today are two friends of the pod. I'm so excited to have them on the show. I've been on their podcast, and now they are on my podcast, and such is the way of quarantine.
The podcast,
So true.
the quarantine podcast loop.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's like musical chairs, but with podcasts.
It really is. And no one changes chairs.
No, everyone just sits in the same chair the whole time.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
We've got Tavius Marshall and Ashley Marshall here on the pod today. Their podcast is The Mixer, which is a podcast that's about mixed race perspectives. And I was super excited to be on as a guest a few months back. That was super fucking fun to just talk to a bunch of other mixed people about being mixed.
I'm
and
so very
that
glad.
kind of shit. It's just, you don't get to do that much.
Strangely
So-
enough, no.
Yeah,
It's very much a Where's Waldo of us. And when we spot each other across the room, it's like, ball, shining light, spotlight, I've seen you in my dreams. Like, every time.
It really is. It's a beautiful, beautiful moment when it happens.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you both what your relationship is to Star Trek. Because I already know you both are into Star Trek, but also that you're both super nerds
Yes.
and love sci-fi in general. So specifically, like, which was your show? Which was your in to the franchise? Like, what is it about Star Trek that you like? Was it
Go ahead.
a thing that you watched as a kid? That kind of shit.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was. I remember I'm born in '81, so I'm a it was on. The original was on reruns when I was very little, but I was more Star Wars when I was then. But then TNG came out, and my world just changed. Like, I don't know why, but I was just like into every bit of the weirdness and the talking. Like it.
So much talking.
So much talking. Like, you rarely in TNG till the last bit get to see much shaking. Cam shake with the nice, which it's the best action in the world. But I mean. At that point, it just took me. So then, with the rest of everything, I had to just keep watching it. And so it's been a constant love-hate obsession ever since. Star Trek is just on the background of my life now. Like, literally, I love streaming services so much because I just play a Star Trek and
Star
then
Trek
go
around
do
the streaming
something.
services.
So, Ashley, what about you and your Star Trek story?
I was raised a Trekkie.
Same.
My mom was a hardcore Trekkie, and she had been in love with Leonard Nimoy since she was like 15 and was obsessed with Star Trek. And she had told me the story about her going to see Wrath of Khan when it came out. And she said it was the only movie she ever stood in line for tickets for, and she stood in line with a broken leg for tickets to see that movie.
God.
And then she got in, and she got to the end, and she goes, and Spock died, and I was so pissed. She was too fucking angry. But she was one of those people that had she had one of those giant books that had like a full schematic of the Enterprise in it and stuff and all the, So I don't ever remember seeing TOS for the first time.
No.
That's how much I was
It's
raised.
just-
Like, I
it's
don't
in
remember
here.
my
Yeah, yeah.
first episode
Yeah.
of original series.
Yeah.
I do remember seeing Wrath of Khan for the first time and losing my goddamn mind.
Mhm.
Like, I
Oh,
want
yeah.
to live here forever. This is the best world ever. And then, of course, TNG came out, and my mom was so stoked for it to come out, but I could tell she was keeping, like, really low key. And I don't think I really paid that much attention to the first season when I was a kid.
That's okay.
Like, when I was
That's
a
okay.
kid, because it was so boring
Of TNG, yeah.
of TNG, because
yeah.
I was coming off of...
It's legit bad.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it is,
It's bad.
but think coming off of the original series movies. But I was ready for, explosion, pew, pew, pew. And there was not much pew, pew, pew.
Yeah.
First season
And the
of
production
TNG.
value going from a major motion picture
Exactly.
to then the budget that they were working with
Well,
on TNG,
but-
which was much smaller.
But
Yes.
remember, even in the first episode of TNG, they still have a higher budget than episode 2.
They do.
The film
Yeah, because
it was
quality,
the pilot.
I remember
Yeah.
specifically like being little and the Data scene with them in the river,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
first seeing that and being like, "Ooh, this looks nice."
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
and
then
then
they got
a
on the
weird
ship.
dude showing up with a judge thing and a bunch of creature aliens. And I did not get the bit as a kid. I did not get.
I did
did not understand.
I felt permanently
No.
confused
Yes.
season 1.
Yeah, like
I was
what's
like, I would
yeah.
think that I was ready to understand what was going on, and then they would do something just fucking ass backwards the next episode, and I'm like, I'm confused. Anyway, all that to say, I've been obsessed for a very long time.
yes,
And continue to flog myself with any new Star Trek that comes out
yes,
just
Yes.
because I must.
yes.
Yes.
Occasionally I'm
I s-
rewarded with that, and occasionally I am reminded of my own self-punishment.
Yes.
All of us Star Trek fans, I think, can't help but revel in that self-punishment of loving it so much, but also hating things about it. And that was pretty much exactly why I asked y'all to do the pod today, because I sent Ash and Tave one prompt for this episode. And that prompt was a meme that I myself made of it's a screenshot of 2 screenshots from the new series Lower Decks.
Right.
And they were sitting next to each other in my photos on my phone. And this character was like cut in half and looks like he's looking one direction and thinking one thing and looking the other direction and thinking a completely different thing. And here I am, like, fucking trying to describe a meme. This is, like, the most uncomfortable thing to do in the world.
We do
But,
sound like grandmas right now, trying to.
Right?
So it's this square
Oh my God.
with a photo of a green man in it.
I like specifically on a podcast with we're describing
A
something
visual.
on the internet.
Describing a fucking meme on the internet.
So while you're on the
Oh, we're
internet,
so good at
here's
that.
a description of the internet.
While you're on the internet, yeah, I will repost this meme for you guys. But one side is I love Star Trek, and the other side is a militaristic, hierarchical colonial system does not work for freedom; it works against it.
Right.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And these are things that I think deep inside myself, and I see occasional conversations about in the Trek fandom, but I don't see people like really diving in there, with the exception of probably one other podcast called Women at Warp, and they
Nice.
really do dive in on the shit.
Right.
Like, they talk about ableism in Star Trek. They
Mhm.
talk about native representation on Star Trek. This is like stuff that most people are just not interested in talking about,
Which
because
is so
nobody wants
stupid.
their favorite thing to get spoiled, you know? But
Why we're
we
not
are
trying
here.
to spoil it, trying to make it better.
Yeah, we're here to rip apart the things we love so that we can make them better.
Yes!
So that we can become better people.
Yes.
Yeah, and
That's the
understand
whole
our own
point.
psyches.
I agree.
Yes.
No.
So my thoughts on this are basically like, I do fucking love Star Trek. I love the heart, the inner core of Star Trek.
Yeah.
At its core
Yep.
is a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Yep.
It's the facade around it that sometimes just doesn't it finds itself in cognitive dissonance with the core of the show.
Yes.
Yeah, in Picard, for example, I had a glorious cross moment of, because while they're trying to discuss, and they're not fully really discussing the merits of colonialism in Picard and
Right.
all the other problems
But
that
they very well could
they brought a bunch of them up, and then we're like, we're gonna walk away from them now,
Just like Picard did.
Just Picard. Well, it's true. Like, but the
Oh my god, totally true.
but
Yeah.
the Riker save them moment, at the end where it's seeing that many Federation ships there
That's
to
true.
the rescue, I go, yay, the
That's
good of what I've also been watching them be trash for these past 13 hours that I've been watching the series.
Yes.
Exactly.
Like, it's the dichotomy
is-
there of like, yay, they saved the day, but they're horrible.
Yes.
But that's literally a military fleet.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Exactly.
They're
Like,
they're
he came
saving
in
them
with-
through force of
He
fear.
literally came in with guns to save him.
Mhm.
That's called calling you
Literally
boys.
did. Yes.
And will usually
Picard
get
is
you
a-
arrested.
Right? Picard is an interesting. I'm so excited that you brought up Picard because that makes me specifically think of the way that they wrote that whole part of the story with the Romulan homeworld being destroyed,
Right.
Mhm.
and how like the reason that happened, instead of it being that the Prime Directive is shit,
Right.
Mhm.
it is that there's a small sect of dissonance within Romulan culture that infiltrated the Federation, and that's why things went wrong. Instead of it being
Right, it's not the
Federation
Federation's fault.
itself. Yes. The
Exactly.
blame
Like,
still
and
is
and
on
that's-
the Romulans.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's not the Federation move that they did, which is, oh well, we can't risk as much.
Well, everybody got scared during the rebellion.
Yeah.
And so now we're just going to say fuck right off to a whole group of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that never really got finalized. Like, Picard was like, I'm angry in an interview. And then he was like,
I'm an old man. I forget about things.
yeah.
Like nothing else
Yeah.
happened after
Yep.
that. And you're like, seriously?
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, at best, it's promoting, I guess, a rebel mentality to the whole concept. Which
To
is
what,
like,
the boomers?
I'm just going to get old and reroute
No, it's
it.
fine.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fine if you're old and you don't remember
if you-
what it's
if
like
you're-
to be
if
a
you're
good
old
guy.
and- if you're old and you don't like the system, go get your own gang of people. Is that what?
Yeah,
the
for real,
moral
Right?
Of
Like,
yeah.
Riker, you know that's a militia, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Technically.
Put together your own militia of alcoholics.
Technically.
Yeah,
It's what you
absolutely.
did.
Absolutely.
It's exactly what you did.
Yeah,
And we're all, I
exactly.
mean, as long as we understand that we're all rooting for the militia, like, I get that.
Yeah.
That's fine. I have no problem rooting for the not good guy.
Yeah.
But y'all
Yeah.
need to know you're not the good guys.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that needs to
Yeah.
be addressed at some point.
Yeah.
And it pissed me off that the Federation was only ever the obvious bad guy when it was like, Data's a person. And you're like,
Yeah.
really? This is what we're angry about
Yeah.
the Federation not being cool with?
Yeah.
Like,
Like, there are so many other reasons to be mad at the Federation.
Uh-huh.
hell yes.
And I mean, but the problem is that we're all, I mean, when I say brainwashed, I mean, like, in a general sense, we're all brainwashed to think of colonialism as a good thing
Mhm.
Right.
in general, in culture, but also within the framework of this TV show, we're brainwashed to think that these are the good colonizers.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, they're I mean, the Federation are textbook colonizers.
Absolutely.
Like,
Yes.
they make colonies.
Absolutely.
They're expanding
Yes.
the reach of
The
of
franchise.
their empire.
Yeah.
Yes. It's an empire.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it may be a democratic empire, I mean, in some way, but it's still an empire.
is it?
It's not even
Um,
democratic
is it?
because they don't have,
They still have a fucking president.
that's fine,
know?
but you don't have a president on the colonies, would you?
Also,
You would think it would be under,
Do people vote in the Federation?
would it be states
Yeah.
rule?
Is
Planets
this
rule?
Never.
Is there
This is
voting?
never discussed.
Is it-
like
is
how
it-
do they elect
How do
it?
they elect it? Yeah,
Is it,
like,
but is it
do
like,
colonies get to vote?
but is it planet rule?
Right?
So like if the Federation has a colony on another planet, is it planet rule for the colony except for like criminal charges,
except for Federation policies,
right? Where you like you need to be
things
extradited
you have
or shit
to
like that.
adhere
Yeah,
to, like can't do
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
you can't have these
I
human
mean, it's
crimes. and such.
hierarchies within hierarchies within hierarchies within hierarchies, right?
Absolutely.
Like it's all that's how this entire world has been built. It's like because there are those there are like things that a planet has to do in order to be accepted into the Federation. So they have to get all their shit. They have to get their shit together.
exactly.
Yeah.
So like if you live in a fascist regime on a planet, you're not getting any help.
Exactly.
Because that it's your problem.
Yeah.
Right. So Prime Directive.
Right. But also no.
Prime Directive says go fuck yourself.
But Prime Directive also says no interference. So it's like it only says no interference if they don't have enough technology. You notice,
right?
If they've achieved warp drive and all this other technological advancement, then the Federation is allowed to approach them about becoming part of the Federation. So it really is not a Prime Directive. It's the don't ask them and don't make yourself known until they have good enough shit we can use.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, it's like all of the trappings of an empire, all of the trappings of a colonialist system, but like draped in this future utopia garb. You know, that like what they're doing is they're extending a hand, right? They're extending a hand to these cultures that are just coming into their own and discovering warp drive because they're going to connect with other cultures that have the same technology anyway. So they want to make it a thing. But really also it's fucked up.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
entirely.
And honestly, like, if you would really want to think about it, like, wouldn't you want to intervene probably once whatever society gets to nuke technology? You know what I'm saying? Like, at that point, you could go down and be like, by the way, this is what the future could look like without blowing each other up, guys. So, here's a thing to achieve, and we could talk to you, and blah, 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 versus like, oh, you can now travel in space. I mean, like in First Contact, right? Mm-hmm. Was that culture in any way prepared or deserving of the warp technology? Like, they were just transient, like, after-war apocalypse assholes.
Well, it was technically that Cochrane had figured it out.
Well, I know what I'm saying, but I'm just saying, like, there's nothing earned that the whole society hadn't elevated to you know what I'm saying? Like, they're
one
doing
drunk
this because,
asshole figured out how to go real fast.
Right, exactly.
And then the fucking Vulcans showed up and were like, here's all our tech.
And the
like,
Federation...
That's the fucking truth.
And the Federation standard is because of the Vulcan standard that they inherited.
Yes. Yeah.
So, like, the standard doesn't mean that you've achieved anything better. And if you were helping people, you'd probably do it when people made nukes. That's all I'm saying.
No shit, but the Vulcans don't help people either.
Oh no, Vulcans are not for helping.
No, but which is why the Federation still doesn't help people that much, because they're still so afraid of what the Vulcans think of them. The Vulcans still are like they are the fucking rulers of space so far.
Vulcan
as
daddy.
far as the Federation
got all
is
this
concerned.
Vulcan daddy energy going on.
Yes, seriously. So they're
oh my
always
god,
looking.
Vulcan daddy energy. This is a new
thing.
Yep.
It's a real thing now. Just letting everyone out there know Vulcan daddy energy is a real thing. 100%. Sarek had so much Vulcan daddy energy.
Dude, all of it.
All of the Sareks. I'm pretty much
every
a fan of
single
Sareks.
iteration.
Like, I like
every
the
single
Sareks.
Sarek.
Yeah.
Yes. It's so true though, because I'm interested in talking to you guys about DS9 and how DS9 handles this specifically, because I feel like the DS9 is the only series so far that really actually even gets even close to talking about this shit. Everything else is like, the Federation is perfect. The Federation is perfect. The Federation's amazing. There are just some bad apples, right? We've heard these things before. And then
they just have stop-in rebels with like spiky hair. It's always a big spiky hair rebel group that are like
at TNG, it's more shaggy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They're always shaggy haired.
Yeah. There's not.
That's how you know the difference between the
Linda
military
Hamilton
Federation
rebel though too.
And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's also that one too. There's that one.
The not Linda Hamilton one.
But there's also the baby boomer admiral that goes off their chain every once in a while. But it's just like, we got what's her fucking name? Oh, Gene Simmons. We got Gene Simmons. Yes. She's going to come in. Everyone's going to love her. And then we're going to realize that she is broken.
Yep.
Yes. Yep.
You know?
Exactly.
We're gonna have like random admirals come in, be power hungry,
Yep.
and then get embarrassed.
Oh, royally
you know?
embarrassed.
But it's not. But they never say that this is indicative of something bigger, a bigger systemic problem within the Federation. It's always
Never.
like, but it's like, why would these people be getting to this point
Yep.
if there wasn't a bigger systemic problem?
Yeah.
You know, like if
Absolutely.
we're not, like, why are we not talking about Romulan racism?
No
That's
shit.
a real thing.
Mhm.
Like we talk about that in, they talk about that in the Drumhead briefly.
Right.
And then it's never really talked about again.
Well, if we're talking about specifically about the Romulans,
Yeah.
though, there's also that episode with, oh my God, Picard and Data are looking for Spock, and they go to Romulus looking for
Yes.
Spock. But they actually have that whole
Unification.
conversation. They have the whole conversation about how, they don't want to be caught there with or looking like Vulcans.
Yeah.
So there's like,
Yep.
there are, it's in brief passing, and it's not really until episode 3 or 4 of Picard when they actually
That they really actually address it.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, those things, the whole concept of like just in general in sci-fi also, the monolithic alien
Yeah.
race
Mm-hmm.
is just it's a thing. It's a thing that I want to do an entire episode about specifically. Josh talked about it when they were on the podcast talking about mixed race representation on the show, specifically that one episode of Voyager
Mm-hmm.
where they split B'Elanna into,
Mhm.
which
Lovely.
is like, oh my
Great.
God, no.
Thanks so much. Because we all needed
Absolutely
that.
not. I think what Josh said was maybe not do eugenics.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Just as a general rule.
Just as a general rule, maybe not do that. I'm interested in how just to me, I feel like when I watch DS9, I'm always like, oh my God, fucking finally. They're finally talking about this.
Yes.
And then they get there and then they barely brush the surface
Yep.
and then they pull back again. Because
Well,
still the Federation has to be the hero, right? So
Right.
like the Federation, we're talking about them being colonialists. We're talking about them and their relationship with Bajor, trying to get Bajor into the Federation,
Oh my
right?
God.
And
Absolutely.
then in order to balance them, to make them still be the good colonizers,
Yep.
they bring in the Cardassians and the Dominion.
Yep.
And now we have bad colonizers
Yep.
and good colonizers.
Well,
Of course.
And here's Bajor in the middle, like fucking Puerto Rico.
No shit,
it's
man.
Like, you know what I mean?
And here's the thing is like early in it they address the conversation, which is the wormhole's the MacGuffin
yeah.
for
Yeah.
the drive, and they're like, oh, now that Bajor has something you want, everybody's going to come here and start working on this stuff, right? They
Exactly.
address it. They address the MacGuffin,
Yeah.
but like a MacGuffin, everybody stops working on it. Nobody
Yeah.
goes like, oh, this is a problem we should address in this whole situation.
No.
They're just like, I guess that's the problem.
Yes.
You're right. Let's keep living in it. Like,
Yeah.
Yep.
But
Yep.
you rarely do you get episodes that are entirely about the wormhole, right?
Yeah.
And you would
Yeah.
think,
And usually, like, Cisco is involved in some sort of
oh my
Bajor and
God.
Jesus kind of
Like,
way.
No shit.
yeah,
Which
yeah.
I will address
No.
that whole bullshit in just a second.
white
My
white savior Cisco.
No. There's a whole thing going on there.
White savior.
White
No,
savior
he
Cisco.
does. Okay, well, no, we're coming
It's
back.
so-
We're coming back to
amazing.
White Savior Cisco.
That is amazing.
It's true. My first evolution thing I want to talk about, though, is not the main one. It's the one that carries over from TNG. So my big issue that I have with characters on, like main characters on TNG, specifically, is with Worf.
Oh,
So
yeah.
when we see any other Klingons, ever, anywhere, like when you first see Worf, you see that he's got the, was it like a bandolier on, right?
Yeah. I like to call it his sash.
Right.
Yeah.
I would say
Yeah.
sash, but
Yeah.
it's not quite a sash.
Yeah.
It's also
In the
metal,
beginning,
so
it
it's
was
like,
sash. It had like some
Yeah.
frill to it.
Yeah.
Then it
It's
got
like,
a little
it's like a
hard.
Miss
sash.
America sash.
Yeah,
It was.
Miss Universe sash.
Yeah, it got harder as time
Like
went,
then it
went
turned
on.
into links.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So the whole deal with this thing was what it felt like. He was so proud that he wanted to wear
His culture into Federation.
in his uniform,
Right.
right? However,
Yeah.
how the fuck ever? Why is his hair straightened and short?
Yep.
He literally,
Right.
this literally means that Worf wakes up an extra hour and a half before he has to be on the fucking bridge and flat irons his fucking hair every day.
Absolutely.
Because
100%.
as you watch his evolution further and further into TNG until finally when he gets on DS9 and he's so far from the fucking Enterprise and his hair actually just has curls and it's back in a ponytail.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
motherfucker was flat ironing his hair to fit in.
Uh-huh.
Yep. There's so much to unpack with Worf. I mean, with just like the whole concept of his backstory and like him being adopted by human parents and the whole like Kittimer, him being orphaned because of Kittimer,
and then violently enforcing a culture he was not raised in upon his child.
Son. Yes.
For no apparent reason whatsoever.
Yeah.
And then also flat ironing his son's hair.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Into the same helmet.
Yeah.
Because if you remember,
it's not a Klingon style. It's not.
Taylor didn't wear a hair like that.
No.
Mm-mm.
So what's with the flat iron?
Yep.
No other.
He's the only one. He's literally the only one.
Worf's brother, Gowron, none of them have. They're all wild curly hair.
Yep.
All of them.
Yep.
No.
Still an intrinsic whiteness to the Federation that he was still like, I gotta straighten
Did they
my
tell
hair.
Worf
Yes.
Wait, did they tell Worf he couldn't graduate the academy unless he had straightened his hair?
It still is a point that, whiteness is still the colonization of the future.
It completely is.
It's still the interesting backlying tie that apparently straightening your hair is
necessary.
Yeah.
I mean, I was excited in Picard to see like Federation uniforms with dreads on the shoulders.
Yeah.
Like,
to
see weird hair was actually really cool.
Yeah.
But
yes. And then, I mean, I'll just say in general, in the new series, that shit is really fucking awesome to see.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like, it's fucking great to see that on Discovery. I have not started season 3 of Discovery yet, but like, I have seen the shots of Sonequa Martin Green, and she looks amazing.
Yep.
Like, she is so fucking gorgeous.
Yep.
I know.
Bow down.
It's not fair.
Just let her do it, and they were just like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
It's fucking great. It's fucking great. Michelle Hurd's like fucking curls out.
Yeah.
I'm yes to
Because,
all of it.
Because honestly, you know that most of that shit, if you're trying to be a ship of exploration, first of all, at any point, you're not supposed to be there for military combat.
Yep.
Which means that you shouldn't have to enforce regulation hair, right? So if you're trying to do combat, that doesn't mean it has to be off of your shoulders, off of the neck, secured to your head so that no one can grab it or twist any of that shit. So I don't understand why everybody had these fucking crew cuts, pull their hair all the way up and all this kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or why they gave a fuck that Troy wasn't wearing a uniform when, I don't know, Crusher has her hair out in like a fucking Miss America blowout every day.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, Crusher's hair is next level. Crusher's wigs are just whoo. Well, this brings me to like one of the very few talking points I actually wrote down,
Hit some things.
which is that, interestingly, I'm not sure if y'all know this, but Gene Roddenberry was a cop.
Oh, what?
That makes all the sense in the world.
I feel like I do know that. Oh, yeah.
Roddenberry was first. He was a pilot in the U.S. Army Air Force.
Right.
Knew that. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Then he was a commercial pilot for Pan Am. There's an incredible story of a crash that he was in where he like saved a bunch of people's lives, which is kind of amazing.
That's awesome.
It's like I read it and I was like, whoa, what? This? I mean, I'm here reading about this person that like created a franchise that I love, and I'm like seeing where all these things came from, right?
Oh, I feel
then
that,
he was. Yeah. Then he was a cop in the LAPD from 1949 to 1956.
Mm-hmm.
First of all,
he became this, right? Right? He became the speechwriter for the chief of police. So he was not on the streets for very long. He became the speechwriter for the chief of police. This was all while he was writing scripts and submitting them for open calls all the time in LA, because that's what he really wanted to do.
Right.
And his scripts at that time were mainly westerns and police dramas.
Absolutely.
Which makes sense.
Total sense, right? Because like I'm thinking about, he has so much experience within a military hierarchy, so that system is very
Absolutely.
familiar to him. And then on top of that, westerns are inherently colonialist, but also
Totally.
they're about exploration, and they're about the frontier ideology. You know,
Absolutely.
The
Manifest destiny?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Manifest
exactly.
destiny?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean,
but they're also they're white centric.
yes.
All of those stories are white centric.
Yes.
Which
and,
is why.
and I mean, you can see the epitome, though, of Kirk. I mean, Kirk is a Western hero. Like,
Oh, he's
Yeah.
John Wayne.
he entirely is his biggest problem is the Federation is like, he's hitting people too much.
No,
like, you know,
his
and-
biggest problem is that he has to work and he doesn't have time to bone the bitches he wants to bone.
It's true.
He always goes like, "Ugh, I guess I got to go do this thing the Federation sent me to do."
God.
Every
It's
single
true.
time.
And Spock in a lot of ways is a cop.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 100%.
And let's not forget that Spock also gets his fuckery on many a time,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he does. He sure does.
fucking
he
up
sure
some
does.
shit.
It's interesting that there's this framework that he was working in. He's like of course, like here he is. He's a cop. He's a pilot. I don't think he was technically a soldier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
And yet he's trying to reconcile this structure that he's familiar with
Mhm.
this idea that he has of this future utopia where everyone is free.
Right.
Right.
Everyone is equal.
Right. But the structure that
It's
you're using
this-
to show that just does not work with that idea, bud.
Yes.
Right.
The structure is upholding
Yes.
that is like upholding what is tearing this idea down.
Because you know what
With
happens?
holding this
Well,
idea
when you
back.
have the Federation that does that, you end up with Firefly, which is you get the Alliance and
Yep.
everybody fucking else
Right.
who is not part of the Alliance
Right.
Yeah.
and scrounging and you're
Which, I mean-
outside of where all the goods and the
Right.
safety is.
I literally think Roddenberry would scream in rage if he found out or watched DS9. Like, I think
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I mean, he had the whole no conflict thing in TNG,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And that is a
Yes.
message of colonialism as ever, which is
Absolutely
everybody's
true.
perfectly fine with shit. You know what I'm saying?
You're gonna take your shit and everyone's gonna be fine with that.
Everybody's living in harmony. What are you talking about? Everybody's living in harmony. Nobody would be upset by the things that are going on in their life.
Yes. Yes.
it doesn't-
That's so true.
It doesn't matter what happened to your wife, dude. Get
No
over
shit.
it.
Which is
Respect
why
the
I
wouldn't
card.
be sad that his mom died.
Yeah.
No,
the kid
which
would
is
totally understand.
And Cisco's
What I
whole
love-
motivation
Yes,
is like
that first
is
episode
conflict
where he's
and
talking
pain.
to Picard.
Yeah.
First episode
Yes,
where he
yes.
meets Picard and he's supposed to you're all ready for it to be like TNG handing off the mantle to DS9.
These
but
guys
no.
are going to be best buddies and pals.
Yeah, and it's going to be great, but
Yeah.
no. Like Picard starts with the friendly thing and I'm ready for Cisco to be like, I'm ready to get to work. And no, not happening. He's like,
Yep.
no, fuck you, dude. You killed my wife.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, snap. Shit.
Yep.
Okay.
He's like, "Fuck you, Wolf 359, bitch."
Yes.
don't care
I
if
love
it was
I
Picard's
will
reaction.
not forgive you.
I don't care if it was robot you did it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
I love Picard's reaction too because his face just drops and he's like, "There's literally nothing I can do here."
Yep.
Yeah.
Like all hope of fixing the situation right here is gone. He's just like, I just need to make sure that he didn't come across the table at me. Like
Yeah.
that is my only goal here.
Yeah.
Is to make sure
Yeah.
this man does not
Absolutely.
come across the table at me
Yeah.
and get out of here
Absolutely.
alive.
Yeah.
But no, I wouldn't be
It's-
cool either. And I love that they kept that.
So do I. And I totally am on the same page about that. Roddenberry would probably not like it.
Mm.
He'd be pissed.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole point of DS9 in a lot of ways was to break these tropes that Star Trek had written itself into.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And that's what makes DS9 so fucking good.
Yeah.
Is that it changes, it flips it on its head, right? And then we end up with the fucking Maquis,
Oh,
which is
yeah.
again then even additionally an insult to the Federation because here are Federation officers leaving,
Exactly.
and forming their own militia to protect Bajor. That is the Maquis, I think, to me, aside from the fact that like I don't really like Eddington. Like Eddington.
Oh my God, that
bothers
douchebag.
me.
Oh
Yeah,
my
I don't.
God. Why?
If they had
Give me
gotten a different
somebody.
actor,
Yes.
I'm just like, come on. This guy is just like, he's just like a.
It's
I
like
also-
also you knew to start with, like, it's gonna be the Greg Kinnear motherfucker, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
always gonna be the Greg
Yeah.
Kinnear looking motherfucker that's gonna screw somebody
Yeah.
over.
He made the Maquis come off as like selfish.
Yes.
Oh yeah, no,
You know,
no. It is the problem in Star Trek of always the rebels, even if they try to give them motivation. One, don't have any idea how to smile ever. They don't have any sensibility. Like they're always just these over tortured pain people, which is definitely a white colonizer's perspective on what it's like to be in a rebellion.
Yes.
They never have any culture of their own.
They never have, and secondly, like their goals are childish.
Yeah.
They're just like, well, I blow it up because I want more boxes, Captain. You know, my family didn't have enough boxes when I was a child, and other families they had lots of boxes. There were tons of boxes, and they're like, "Isn't this simple? Don't you understand? Just be friends." And then you go like,
"Yeah, that's not how this shit works.
No,
that's not how this shit works.
And it's not box. It's not boxes. My families are dying." Like,
yeah, exactly. It's totally. Like Eddington aside. I mean, just the fact that they did it, just the fact that they did an internal Federation rebellion, right?
Absolutely,
is
that wasn't led by earworms.
Oh,
right? Nobody's possessed by a fucking disgusting alien.
Yes,
right. This is all their own choices.
Absolutely.
Nobody has a thing, and nobody's head is going to explode.
Right. No one's possessed by an anger cloud, or a, or a God, whatever.
On the DS9 and the Maquis and the Ro got to leave of her own volition. And joined the bad guys, if you will.
Well, yeah, but I'm still pissed that Kira's out.
Yeah, I am still pissed that originally Kira was supposed to be Ro.
I know.
Well, Kira grows on you over years. That first season, she was petty.
And years and
petty.
years.
Oh,
petty.
Yeah.
Petty.
Yeah.
Like,
she was the triflingest basic bitch. The first 4 seasons.
Oh, yeah.
I could not stand the sound of her voice.
Yeah.
Like, she just irritated me.
Yeah.
Like, every time she came into a scene.
Yeah.
And whatever fucking... I've seen... Nana, what's her last name?
Nana Visitor.
Yeah. I've seen her in panels and stuff.
Yeah.
Her shoulders are not that far up under her ears. Why was it necessary to throw like an extra 3 inches of shoulder pads up there so she
much shoulder pad.
Gave her this like uppity Karen look to her all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime she was even trying to have like a
Kira was definitely full Karen, like for
full Karen.
Just
for
seasons.
quite some time.
And
until they started making her directly in a lot of ways Kai Wynn's adversary.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Until they wrote it in such a way that it was like, here's the Bajoran religion, right? And then here's Kai Wynn she's like an evangelical Christian pastor.
Yes.
And here's Kira, and she's like, I think Jesus was cool.
Right?
You know?
Exactly.
And I feel like prayer helps me in my heart, right? And I'm not about to bomb something anymore because I'm no longer a terrorist.
Exactly.
Like once they got that going, it was like, okay, I get now because Kira is meeting Wynn on her own turf. Right. Kira is meeting Wynn on her own side.
Which is what I was
then
cool about.
Kira, got all of this depth, right? But before that, it was like, wow, you are just so fucking tightly wound.
You're so angry. Like, I understand.
Like, why is this how you have to write a woman in power?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Why do you have to write a woman like this stressed out all the fucking time?
Where were we? DS9?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get back to DS9. Colonizing
trekking. We're trekking across
colonizing
the treks.
force that the Federation is, and how DS9.
I'm just thinking about this wormhole situation and about how, like, right away, the Federation just becomes the caretakers of this wormhole.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And like how this wormhole contains the gods of Bajor. Right?
Yep.
Yep.
So the fuck y'all doing coming in here and policing this wormhole?
Yeah.
Well, and
The
I mean,
fuck are you doing?
well, and I mean, their claim on it is mostly diplomatic at best. Like,
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Well,
It's-
isn't
it's
the
a-
whole argument in the beginning that they want to offer their basically military forces to Bajor in order to strengthen them enough to be able to defend the wormhole on their own, to use it as a resource?
yeah, pretty much. I mean, yes, pretty much.
Except
Yeah.
that in the time it's taking them to repair DS9, which will never happen. Like someone's gonna need to shoot somebody at a Waffle House, and then the mayor's gonna have to go, the mayor of space is gonna have to go to them, and they're gonna be like, what's the one thing we can do to make this better? They're gonna be like, fix DS9, and then they'll fix DS9.
Fair enough.
Like how we got 440 fixed over here.
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
Like that's
yeah,
literally
yeah.
the only way that all of DS9 is going to be fixed. Other than that, it's just going to be a permanent 440 of like potholes and,
Oh, yeah.
and weevils chewing up shit, and no one's ever
Yeah.
going to get
Okay.
it running.
Also, here's the other question, right? So like they had resource problems, not manpower problems.
That's what I'm
for,
saying.
for DS9, right? Okay, sure. Like dilithium crystals, you can't reproduce, right? Through a
Yeah.
replicator, some various other materials. But when you can just, I don't know,
Yeah.
produce raw steel, like what is the
Right.
real trouble you're having?
And if this
Right.
wormhole is such a
Right.
big asset to the Federation, why the fuck aren't they trucking supplies out
Yeah.
there daily
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
get this thing
Right.
in working order?
Yeah.
Right.
When it's really the redheaded
Right.
stepchild of the Federation, they don't
Yeah.
send them anything.
Especially when each time they keep finding out like, there's new god weird shit, and then there's a whole nother race of like,
Right.
Yes.
like
and then
at
the fucking Dominion comes
yeah,
through
absolutely.
the wormhole.
Once you get to the
I'm
Dominion,
like, you
I
can't spare
spare like
just some
a
more
fleet.
resources.
I personally would for the Dominion. I'd be like, we need at least a fleet around there,
Yeah,
probably.
but
guys.
but
Yeah.
the Federation is their response
Yeah.
is always like, sounds like you have your work cut out for you. Your dried fish will be there in 3 months. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the only response they ever have is like, rations are on their way. Like,
Yeah.
that's it. They don't go, oh, do you guys need backup? Or, hey, we got a couple of ships nearby. Or no one's ever
mean-
near fucking by the way.
no,
The only thing I can think is that First Contact took a really long time.
yep,
You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like the movie First
Right.
Contact.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like, or that all of the TNG movies took way longer than they seemed like when we were watching them, and they're taking up the whole time of DS9. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah,
And-
absolutely.
And just the Federation is dealing with Shinzon right now. They're dealing with Tom Hardy right now.
Right.
And
Yeah.
they don't have
Yeah.
the resources to deal
They
with
just can't spare.
DS9 and the wormhole.
and
You
this
know what I'm
whole
saying?
this whole massive intelligent species that have super trooper soldiers, they can destroy any
Right.
group of whatever.
Right.
You guys get it, tiny space station. You guys get it.
Right. You
Well-
guys get it. We're still dealing with the Borg Queen somehow.
Somehow,
Yeah.
Like
yes.
we're
I'm
yeah,
sorry,
we're
Oliver.
just
So what keeps
Oliver
happening is
Ashes.
every time the Federation Council gets together and we go on a vacation, we get these worms in our ears, and then we've got to
Yeah.
deprogram from the worms.
yeah, we got a
then you
DA
gotta-
program from the worms.
I just
Yeah.
thought,
Yeah.
It
I
just
just thought
happens
all the
every
rations.
time.
I just thought all the rations.
They're
were
like,
going-
sorry. We've got Malcolm McDowell out of control.
No,
we can't deal with this right now. Malcolm McDowell is out of control.
This is
Okay, first of all,
crazy.
first of all,
There's a silk.
if
there's a silk
you
ribbon or
brought
something.
Malcolm McDowell into any federation, y'all should have known that to begin with.
Yeah. As soon
Malcolm
as you see
McDowell has
Malcolm
never
McDowell,
been
you're like,
under control. Second,
Never.
maybe all their supplies were just going towards all those lens flares.
Oh, it's the lens flares.
It just takes
It's
a
the lens
lot.
flares.
to,
Yeah.
like,
They are
burn off all those
expensive.
lens flares.
They're so expensive.
It's true. Actually,
It just goes
yeah.
it just goes to LASIK for all the crew members who have like
Just like,
injury from all those
God.
lens flares all the time.
Oh my god.
why
That's
did they fill
amazing.
the ship
For
with lens
fucking
flares?
serious.
There's so many bright lights on the. It's why are they on
Oh,
the
God.
bridge?
Anyway,
yeah.
I also wanted to touch on this idea of good colonizers and bad colonizers.
Yes.
This
Ooh.
is interesting to me because, especially taking into account Gene Roddenberry's background.
Yes.
Because I always have to also remind myself that Gene Roddenberry and most science fiction writers are white men.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
And this is changing. There are more opportunities for people who are not white men to be writing science fiction or to be producing science fiction. But especially at the time, it was like Gene Roddenberry, here he is. He's a white guy, and he's getting a lot of advice from Asimov.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that is where this world is built.
Yes.
From that viewpoint. Even though it was pioneering of him to want to fight for diversity in the casting.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it was revolutionary for him to be hiring women writers.
Right.
Absolutely.
All of these things,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's important. His perspective was still
Colonized.
a white savior perspective.
Absolutely.
It was still a colonialist perspective. And as fans, we have to sort of like come to terms with that's where this thing came from.
Well, yeah.
Right.
And it's, we can talk about the colonization and ableism and the whole concept that ties together that like all the races that look like bad guys are bad guys. You know what I'm saying? Like they defer them from humans, the normal white guy look as far as they can, and then they go, this is the bad guy.
I mean, we can talk about
Oh man, we're even talking about art direction here. Totally 100%. That's so fucking true.
In touching back on, things that made Star Trek important to me, the fact that they would even touch half the things that they do was a lot for me in the time of like the 80s or the 90s or even the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Like the half of the things that they would even touch. Now it's not enough, quite honestly, for the times that we live in for really addressing these things. And they have to be really addressed because the Federation, as you said, is a colonizing entity. Like, its purpose is to say you have to become this much like us for us to even deal with you.
Yes, exactly. You must conform,
right.
If you want our help, if you want our support, if you want access to our resources.
They don't say resistance is futile. They say you do your thing, which is pretty much futile.
Right. Which is why I enjoyed so much more in Enterprise actually seeing the Xindi.
Yes.
Which are so many different races that like I wanted to see if
on one alien planet.
If someone was going to be like, oh, I'm exploring space. Yeah, where are my freaking fish people? And my, insect like people that only speak in clicks. Where are those motherfuckers? Like where are these people? And your universal translator suddenly works for only bipedal humanoid species. Like I haven't seen a single 6-legged whatever. Whenever you get one of those motherfuckers, you always have to shoot it with a phaser.
Yeah.
If you notice. No one ever tries to decode the rock monster and what he wants to talk about. No one ever tries to negotiate with that.
Mm-hmm.
It has to look.
And this is again another symptom or another style of colonization, if you will, because if you think about that in terms of the way humans have colonized the Earth, right? And the way we think about ourselves as separate from or different or better than the other species that we share the planet with. It's the same sort of idea. Like the less human it looks, the more likely that
it's not even the less human, the less like me. You know what I'm saying? Like the less it's just transfers of like this is the standard, which right now in America is whiteness, the white male standard. But, the farther it is from that, so you brown too much, you woman too much, you get a ridge, you have a finger that looks different, you got it, you know what I'm saying? Like, so your consciousness, your conversation, your ability to function as an entity don't matter as much as how different you look and speak from me.
Right.
Yes. It's all like degrees of separation. The more degrees of separation you have from me and the way you look from me, the less I can relate to you.
Right.
And the less I care about your existence.
But
Yeah.
then
the more likely it is that you're disposable.
Right.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
you're destroying this planet or doing something weird to it or, hurting
Yeah.
this other
Or
populace.
yeah. Right. Or malicious in some
Right.
way. Right.
But then
right,
you could
yeah.
also argue if that's part of the argument, then no one should have been supporting Keiko's decision to keep teaching when what's her ass came in to shut down the school because she was teaching him science.
No.
Her whole argument was that she was teaching them something that was outside of Bajoran beliefs
Yes.
and
Yeah.
believed not to be true.
Right.
The Federation is there to help aid Bajor. They don't have a colony on Bajor.
Right.
They are not
Yeah.
they're not there to control.
The Federation is there to control Bajor. I mean, that's that.
I know, but I'm talking about on paper.
But that's not what they're saying.
That's
not what they're
saying.
Right.
They're not there to take
Right.
DS9 either.
Right.
So technically, it's not the Federation's. It's still Bajor's. So they would have the say as to what they teach in their schools. And Keiko needed to keep her fucking nose out of it.
No, she
Yeah.
should. She
No,
should.
I agree with her. I agree with her decision and what she feels as a teacher. I completely do.
Yes.
But if you're talking about Federation versus
Yes.
as a colonizing force,
Yes.
the Federation should have gone to Keiko and said, I understand your principles, but we're going to have to shut the school down then.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what they should have done.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, if we're gonna talk because Prime Directive can't just stop once you go a warp thing. You know what I'm saying? Like
It's not interference with cultures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, if they're part of
Yeah.
a Federation colony, then you have a say in what you would like to teach your younger children. At least the parents can choose whether or not to let them participate. But they're not even a colony.
Right.
They're just
Yeah.
a completely other set of people.
Yeah.
So, too bad, Keiko. Basically, like, I hate it
That's so
for you.
interesting. It's so interesting because it's also like there was part of me that was thinking like, yeah, but it's a Cardassian station, but now is DS9 a Federation station? DS9
It's not.
is a
It's under
Federation
management.
outpost.
It's under Federation
new
management.
management.
Yes.
Right. So technically, like this is it. We're
Bajor
in the
space.
Bajoran system.
Yes.
Yeah.
Technically,
So
Bajor
this
fought
is-
off
yeah.
Cardassia.
Yeah. Well, and
So, like-
in either way, on DS9 at best, you can get people who accept it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
Yeah.
that's the best option.
But none of the Bajorans want the Federation there.
Right.
Like, want them there. No one,
Right.
like, held up a horn and called them and shit. Like,
Yeah.
it really is
Yeah.
just there as support.
Yeah.
So they shouldn't have any say.
They're supposed to be an administrative scary ally. That's their purpose, is to be
Yeah.
there so that Cardassia doesn't come back and fuck with them.
Right. Like,
Yeah.
I understand that it was a power play by the what was his name, Kylie?
By Wynn.
Yeah, Kai Wynn. So
Yeah. And she was not even Kai at the point.
no,
at
she
the
wasn't.
Vedic Wynn.
Yes. She was campaigning.
Yeah.
Which I understood.
Yeah.
I understood the
Trash mouth.
purpose of that. I know.
Trash mouth.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Can I say I laughed so hard when she started screwing.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. Oh, my God.
Oh my god, what's his name? Shit.
Ducat?
Yes.
Oh, whoa!
Good old
forgot about
gooseneck.
that. I forgot about her with the
Oh
god.
my
Yes.
God.
Okay, first of all, that dude, I'm sorry that he was blessed with that goose of a neck.
That
He
wonderful
is cursed.
Cardassian
What
neck.
a
That
cursed
beautiful
with
fucking
being
neck.
he's cursed
Cardassian
with being
neck.
perfect.
It's just
for
too
that
much
makeup.
neck, and it's perfect.
It
Yeah.
looks, it looks
Mark
so
Alimo
natural.
has a neck.
A
I mean,
neck.
there's a
dude.
reason
You
that they were
know-
like, let's Cardassian him again, even though he's a different character.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
right?
it just-
right?
it was
exactly.
perfect. But the second he showed up, because you can't not recognize him, you're like, oh my god, Noodle Neck, it's you. And then you
Yeah.
started. I felt my face like curl up into a Grinch grin, you know? And then the
Yeah.
chuckles started, and I'm like, ha ha ha, bitch, you fucking the enemy. Oh,
Especially the worst of them, too.
I know.
Like, the worst of them.
I know.
Yeah.
And that's what was so like wonderful. It's like you.
Because she is also the enemy.
Yes, she is.
It's because
yeah.
she is also the enemy.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And she, like, that, I mean, that, like,
Well,
tying
she
that
has
back in together. Yeah.
she is colonization. She's just religious colonization. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? Like
Yes.
She's a fucking Templar.
she's just worried that other colonizers are coming to take her power.
No, she's a goddamn Templar.
She's about
yeah,
corruption.
she's a Templar. Yes.
She's like, I'm gonna be first minister and I'm gonna be Kai.
It's like it's more
you know, like
exactly.
it makes me think of like old
I just get a little Henry V on it.
that's exactly what I was thinking of, like Medici family, you know, that kind of thing where like, you know, Pope and president kind of situation where you're like,
the head of
Rome
the church
is
and the king,
the power and everything. And you're like, okay.
Yes. Oh my God.
Jesus.
Then again, here we are again at this place where DS9 had so many opportunities to address the different levels of like the effects of colonialism and the effects of imperialism, like so many different levels, just because of the situation and the environment in which the story was based.
Right.
And exploring that, because that's what that's what the fucking earth is.
Yeah.
Exploring that ecosystem, basically.
Right.
And it's interesting, like being a person who's living in a country that colonized the country that my mother's from.
Right.
And like seeing the effects of colonization in my mom and in myself and in my mother's homeland.
Yeah.
And like seeing the parallels between that and the things that happen on Star Trek, specifically in DS9.
Right.
Like I, as the person I am, and I know there are lots of people like me. I'm talking to a couple of them right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it would be cool for there are lots of us. It would be cool. And also these stories and this information is stuff that everyone should know about. Like when I think about the things that I did not learn in school about American imperialism,
Absolutely.
about Spanish imperialism,
Yes.
the things I did not learn that were things that happened in pretty recent history, that were things that directly affected my family and my ancestors.
Exactly.
Like that makes me really mad. Like there was
As
a lot
should.
that I had to learn about that from my mother and not from social studies, right? But like it would be so cool if my favorite show, which is a show that is like known for exploring these things, would actually do it. Would
I agree
actually
with you.
like really dive in all the way and really like tear it. I'm tearing Star Trek apart because I want Star Trek to tear itself apart. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yes. No,
Yeah.
absolutely.
You know, and then the very concept of the, you know, to make a more perfect union, to make a more perfect Star Trek, let us discuss and tear apart the things that are directly, you know, like we said, Roddenberry is directly influenced by colonization. He's directly influenced by the way that America did colonization and the authorities that he put in place. So it's impossible for him to not create that in a reflection way when he's not paying attention to it, to that very staple. But once the Federation and Starfleet have been created to be those things, we have to make in question that maybe Star Trek should make a better Federation or a better Starfleet.
Yeah.
Like,
And
do I want to see Star Trek 17 Fall of the Federation? Yes, I do.
Yes, I do.
Yes, I
do.
fucking want to see that. I want to see that because
I'm here for the Star
maybe
Trek,
that's
not the
what we
Federation.
need.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. I'm here for Star Trek. I'm not here for the Federation. I want to see that because maybe that's what we need now.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know,
Exactly.
like I want to see a system get dismantled in the future.
Yep. Absolutely.
I want to see a system that is not working.
Yep.
Get taken apart and put back together in a better way that serves more people. Because that is always and should always be the goal.
That should always be the future.
Especially
that should always
be the future.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, that brings me to like my final thing, which I feel like we just talked about anyway, which was that like, what do you guys, when you think about the future utopia and not thinking about Star Trek, just thinking about like what in your heart, what are your wishes and dreams about that? What do you want? Because I feel like everyone might have the same sort of like things that they hope for, you know, like we all want equality and we all want everyone would be whatever. Everyone should be able to be themselves. All those
Yeah.
things. But like, what do you see?
Which I feel like those are givens. But for me, I feel like it's hard for me to say that, or it's hard for me to give an answer because the answer should be something I can't think of. Because if I have thought of it, it's already a bad idea. That means it means I'm already influenced by the stuff that I see around me, and what's around me is not working. So whatever I put together,
it's not a big enough dream.
It's not a big enough change,
right,
to what the system already is. I need somebody.
But it could be a step in the direction of finding the thing that we haven't thought of, which is the whole point of science fiction.
Well, that is true.
Yeah.
I think,
to me, at least,
I think we'll make holodecks and replicators, and then nobody will ever work or do anything.
So then we'll have WALL-E.
Or produce. It'll be WALL-E. It'll be just everybody getting fat on holodeck Alps. On the I walked up the holodeck Alps. I totally did it. I did it. It just floated like this far above the ground the whole time.
Yeah, so
this is what you want. This is what you want.
Oh no! I'm just pretty sure that's what's going to happen.
So
no.
Ideals.
Okay.
Ideals.
No, what I would want was, if anything, I could take or put into a Star Trek future. It's like the concepts of lower decks. Honestly, like it's more based on the people who are doing the jobs, not just flying the ship.
Is lower decks
a life more focused on the people who are actually doing the work than flying the ship.
Okay, so that's not
like the CEOs, the famous people. They get all the cred versus the people who were fucking pushing the weight.
Right.
I really love that sentiment a lot. Yeah, I totally fucking agree with that.
The guy spending the 24 hours on the turbo lift is the guy who saved the day when they got up there.
Right.
The people actually doing the fucking thing.
Yep.
Are the people that are celebrated.
Yep.
Right. Absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, there is also free food and teleporters, but like,
yeah,
also that.
I mean, definitely want free food and teleporters.
That's a standard Utopia package.
Why am I not?
Free food
There's
and
no scarcity
teleporters.
mindset anymore.
No, not at all.
We're not worried about the hierarchy of needs anymore. We're at ideas now.
Right. Which this is a last note you can take to your next guest about the colonization of the Federation, but like how if the Federation has grown out of their need for money, then where are they getting the funds to pay people like Ferengi and all these other people that only will take payment to do jobs for them?
Via colonization.
So, no, but where are they getting this money?
Via colonization. That's where they're getting latinum and other things.
You're saying they're raiding it?
No, they're
mining it.
They're politically raiding it.
Okay.
They are politically aligning and gathering resources through political bonds with other cultures that are becoming part of the Federation or dealing with the Federation.
I see.
Yeah, I mean they still deal in work payment labor situations. It's like just outside of their system.
It's like the most ultimate of offshore accounts.
Yes,
it's an off-planet account.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
That makes sense. Okay. Yeah. Then I would want, like, whatever it would need to function that is not all of us freezing our asses off and standing out in front of a breadline to have money not mean anything.
Yes.
I don't have a system in mind for how that would actually work. But in some utopian future where legitimately money does not play.
Is not the option, and that is something outside of my realm of thought.
I can't even compute that because I've been raised solely to be able to compute things based around a capitalistic society. I can't.
My thought is when you break it down, it always comes back to
it will always come back to money. I can't think outside of that. No one's shown me a different way yet. So
I am 100% with you on that too.
If you're out there, aliens who know how to
think about this regularly. Yeah, I think about this all the time.
Aliens listening to our podcast,
please.
Just
come and get us.
Just take us with
not
you.
Vulcans or Romulans.
Come pick us
or Klingons.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Or Bajorans.
Just come get us.
Or Dominion.
Yeah.
Not any of those
Dominion.
people.
No.
Not the Borg.
I don't know. Someone we don't know.
Not
about.
Q.
Yeah, Star Trek's making me really scared of space if we really think about it.
What aliens would we want to come get us if they're in Star Trek universe? Which ones do we want to show up?
That's
Who
true.
do we want? Who do we want to show up?
Oh, who would want to come?
This is a really hard question.
Yeah.
The Bolians? The Bolians?
The Bolians, maybe?
The barbers?
No.
The barbers?
Yeah, with the...
Beta Zeds.
Yeah.
Beta Zeds?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We want people to read our minds?
Vegazoids. What? Yeah, the way they live.
All naked mind reading? Sure. We'd still kill them.
I'm fucking fine with that. I'm fucking fine with that.
Naked mind
Loxana.
reading.
I would go room with Loxana, is what I would do.
Loxana, come get me.
I will mud bath with you in a second, bitch.
Loxana,
Yes.
I pray to you now. Come rescue us
Yeah.
from this
Seriously,
2020.
can we make her one of
Yes.
like our household gods? Loxana Choi. Just like right outside the
fucking
door.
come and get me with your top-notch outfits.
Every single time. Yes, Mayo. Hitting it.
Bring
every
all
single
your
time.
wigs. I'm here for all of it.
Oh,
And your
always.
slightly larger eyes.
Well, yes.
Yes.
I want those.
Those big old contacts.
I do.
Blackout contacts.
That's
big
what I want in the
black
future.
contacts.
That's my answer. I'm sticking with
As
it.
blackout contacts?
Yes.
No, I want splicing.
Yeah.
Splicing in the future.
I know you want
Straight
splicing.
up splicing.
I know you want genetic splicing. It's
Yeah, I
weird.
want like leopard spots and
Oh
shit.
my god. Y'all, thank you so much for being on the show.
We love to be here.
Yeah. I had
This is-
fun.
I mean, you're definitely coming back. You have no choice. I'm gonna bully you into it.
I'm excited.
It was hard to think of because definitely miss my Lauren, miss my number one, but like I knew I had to do like some content while she was out, and I was like, y'all were the first people I thought of.
Well, I mean,
And
we can't let you go
obviously,
on your voyage without your number one.
Yeah.
I know it's hard.
We had to.
It's
Well,
hard.
we're just your. It's fine.
We
We're
gave
just
you two
your,
for the price
We're
of two.
your away team currently.
Oh, you're my away team, you
Here you
guys.
go.
I love that. I love
I'm
it.
not wearing red, am I?
Shh, no.
No,
No.
we're all science.
I was gonna say I am straight up
Yeah.
blue science officer, bitch. I don't get shot.
I get cut out of this episode, so it's just you guys ghost talking to me through the whole thing.
Oh no, we just get like
die
plas-
halfway through.
No, we just get plasma
Tavius is
burns
going.
on like our forearms, and then we are in sick bay the rest of the episode.
Yep.
Yep,
Yeah, that's what we do.
that sounds great. I love sick bay.
I know, right? All the hot shit's happening in the sick bay.
Phlox has cool creatures.
Phlox does have cool creatures.
Well, everybody, make sure to check out the mixer and also checking out
it.
Spooning in the Apocalypse.
Yep,
Definitely
it's
do
my
that.
other podcast.
That is Tavius's other podcast, which is also incredibly entertaining and
Incredibly not safe for
sci-fi
work.
related. So Star Trek adjacent.
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah. Sci-fi built.
Yeah,
There are references to Star
sci-fi-
Trek in it. That's
Star
sure.
Trek Cattywampus.
Yes, cattywampus.
yeah. So you'll love it. And thanks again for listening. Thanks to Ash and Tate for being here. And I'll have you back.
Thanks.
Yay.
Yay! We did it!
Find us in the collective at intothewormhole.show, on Instagram at intothewormhole.podcast. Into the Wormhole is brought to you by We Own This Town.
No one can say technical jargon like LeVar Burton.
No one has the power.
He says that, and I believe
Yes.
his ass.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
And that shit is bullshit. Is bullshit. Is bullshit. Is bullshit. Is bullshit.